this is going to be a different topic than I normally like to talk about, and that is the changing shape of retail. The landscape is certainly changing with regards to Toys R Us and Sears, and a little bit emotional for me in Delmarva with Kmart closing as well, and I'll get into that as I go along by topic, because Sears and Kmart are basically the same thing, because since Sears does own Kmart, it's the same thing. But I want to start off with Toys R Us because it's just something that I normally think of when it comes to childhood memories. And I know 3 locations that are sort of personal to me. 2 in Long Island and 1 in Delmarva are going to be closing in the month of April. And the locations I'm going to give right now are the following. So hopefully the editor will show the locations as we go along. We have 2 in Long Island, 1 in Delaware. Particularly, the 2 in Long Island is the location on Sunrise Highway in Massapequa, and then the one that really originates with me is the one I went to as a kid, was the one on Old Country Road by Glen Cove Road in Carl Place. I also used to remember years and years ago there was also another one on Hempstead Turnpike in Levittown, but that one closed. And then we have the state capital location in Delaware, Dover on DuPont Highway, right by the Dover Downs Casino, closing. All that will be taking place in the month of April. And it's sad to be thinking that we are in a changing landscape of retail, if you want to call it that, where we are at a time that online is dominating. It's the main reason why. You have eBay and Amazon always competing to be the best. People are just lazy in general. And this is what Pine Power talked about with Sears, is that no one's really going to specialty retail stores anymore. Sears, just quickly going to bring that topic up. Sears had a lifetime warranty for do-it-yourself hand tools from Craftsman. But Toys R Us, if you wanted a specific toy like I did, they would always have it. And now, you want a specific toy, it's at the convenience of your smart device or computer, or whatever you want to shop on. And I will admit, I like to shop online sometimes too, but, you know, when it comes to looking for clothing or food, especially told John this the other day, I particularly like to go to a store and experience that. And now, with 3 Toys R Us locations that I know personally myself that will be closing, and especially Massapequa, because I have a friend who lives in Massapequa, and he would always walk there all the time just to wander around the store. He's devastated. He's literally around top of Sunrise Highway, and he would always go to that location. And quickly want to mention that this is the same friend of mine who we actually went on the Jeffy the Giraffe Ferris wheel at the Toys R Us in Times Square before it closed. And here's a picture of it on the screen right now if you don't know what I'm talking about. I had a photo of myself on there, but that apparently is long gone. And I'm not going to ask the friend of mine to look for the photo, because then I'll be stupid and he'll be like, I can't find it. But this was the Ferris wheel, of course. This is the first thing you saw when you walked into the Times Square flagship Toys R Us location. Thankfully, this is an experience me and my friend got to do in December of 2015 before the store closed. It was a once-in-a-lifetime experience. It was a New York thing you had to do, and I just knew when the Toys R Us in Times Square was going to close, I was saying to myself, well, this is to my friend as we were leaving, what if the one in Massapequa closes next? And he's like, no, don't say that. That's walking distance of my house. You can't say that. Well, to this particular friend of mine, I was sort of right that this was going to happen. And I also know in particular 2 other Toys R Us's in Suffolk County will be closing. I'm not going to get into that because I only want to focus on the Nassau locations that resonate with me, and especially the location in Dover, Delaware that originates with me. Now, the good news is for people in Delaware, I'm sorry for saying this, if you still want to beat the sales tax, the Toys R Us in the Wilmington area, that's still going to stay open. That is not on the chopping block for now. That's what I found out. The other Toys R Us by me here in Queens and Douglaston, that's still going to stay open. That is still going to be a location that many people are going to be going to now if they need to look for toys. But then again, online's killing everything off, so what's the point? And then particularly the Toys R Us in Salisbury, Maryland, on East Nalamick Road, that's still going to stay open. That's not on the chopping block. The one off 13 in Salisbury, Maryland, that's still going to stay open. But with regards to Toys R Us, you know, I always think of the slogan, I don't want to grow up, I want to be a Toys R Us kid. And then again, the Jeffrey the Giraffe Ferris wheel, the Times Square location, and of course their mascot. I'm just left wondering, well, if they're closing stores, Douglaston could be next in Queens, and then what about Woodside on Northern Boulevard? I just had this random thought, wait a minute, shouldn't the one in Woodside be concerned next? Because a lot of kids go there when they come out of Chuck E. Cheese. Some of them do. That's going to be very emotional for those kids that can't go to the Toys R Us after they're done with Chuck E. Cheese in Woodside. So, going to be very, very something that I want to keep an eye on it, okay? I'm just lost for words. I said very, very many times because I'm just devastated to think that Toys R Us is actually closing. You're always thinking that song. I don't want to grow up. I want to be a Toys R Us kid. That song literally still is going to haunt me now for the rest of my life because they're closing down all the locations within the next few years. It's just a sad reality to think that this company that filed for Chapter 11 bankruptcy last year, and now you're seeing the end result. And this started way back in 2015 when they closed the flagship store. And they tried reopening it last year, but it closed again, and now it's Old Navy. Jeez. Every time I'm on 7th Avenue now, I have to think by 43rd Street that's going to be the old Toys R Us building. That's what Old Navy is, a two-floor building now there. And then what's going to happen to the land around Massapequa? Wallbound's closed. I remembered when my dad walked into that location when Wallbounds was trying to sell everything and he got a good deal on food. The Wallbounds on Sunrise Highway where the Toys R Us is going to be closing. What's going to happen when that location closes? It's going to be empty land. And same with Carl Place. It's the same with that location. You have the pizza shop and Petco in that plaza in Carl Place. So what's going to happen when these locations close? It'll be the same thing if Douglaston closes. It's bad enough Douglaston lost Macy's last year. What's going to happen if Douglaston loses Toys R Us? The only places you're going to be able to go in that center logically are Fairway and the movie theater. And thankfully, Movie-World Douglaston's not closing, but the changing landscape of retail is going to continue. And this is where I now will transition into Sears, because if I keep talking about Toys R Us, I'll get emotional about it. And now I'm going to get more emotional about Sears. So in the description, I want you all to check Pine Power Long Island's video. John was there the other day. I think this was Saturday. I'm not too sure, but he was there, and he filmed the inside of the Sears location in Hicksville closing, which will be closing in April, of course. And they already have the sign, "Everything must go." Everything must go. And it's a sad reality, is that now you have that location closing, where they're going to be building a lot of stuff for millennials, a lot of apartments, and I think a shopping center. I'm not too sure, but I know it's going to be apartments. And that for that land to have that technically makes sense. I mean, you do want people to have access to the Long Island Railroad, but it's not going to be affordable housing. That's glamorous Nassau County for you, where Hicksville is. And it's bad enough the main line, I talk about it all the time, it's messed up. You know, Sears, that location, was very friendly to Long Island Railroad customers. Very friendly to them. If you wanted to take the Long Island Railroad from Mineola, you could do that. You wanted to come from Farmingdale, you could do that. Now you can't, because that location is closed, or it will be closing in April. And that was a store and a brand that I would think to get deep discounts on clothing and shoes, particularly. And John brought up that point in his video, was that now we're going to be ripped off just looking for clothing and shoes, because Kohl's and Target particularly, they have a competition where, okay, who's going to sell the most expensive price in this clothes? With Sears, they put the customer first. That's what they always did, particularly with Craftsman. They had that lifetime warranty if your tool ever got broken. And now, you are seeing that this is a generation gap. Oh, sure, kids will still... The kids now at Generation Z, they'll ask us, what was Toys R Us? And us millennials, us from Generation X, will have to explain what Toys R Us was. They're not going to ask us what Sears was about, because I was born in a time frame where people still went out to go shopping in the early to mid 2000s. You know, we really didn't think of online being a dominating force until probably the beginning of the 2010s. And now we're entering the new decade in 2 years. Well, this sad trend of retail in the 2020s will continue. I'm predicting that right now. I'm calling for it. It's bad enough Sears in Canada, their Canadian brand, closed this month. I found this out from Bright Sun Films. In fact, check that video out in the description as well. 2 videos I want you all to see, because Sears was the perfect type of store where you can look for discounts, you could look for whatever you wanted, and that's what it was about. And to make a final point on the video, I'm going to show you the Kmart in Salisbury, Maryland. And this location's really going to hit me rough now when I think about it, because I might shed a tear for all I know at this point. I'm trying to hold them back, everyone, but what's Kmart closing in Salisbury? Okay, the main hub of Delmarva. The convenience of the half-hour car ride from Ocean City is now gone looking for affordable clothing. And the sad reality of this is, in the state of Maryland, in August, we get a sales tax-free holiday from the governor of Maryland. This actually started right before Larry Hogan got in. I think it was around when O'Malley was governor, but yeah, I think it did start when O'Malley was governor. And then Hogan continued it, I know that, but I used to remember going to Maryland in August, and I always would tell my parents, guys, we have to go in August, because that's when we get the discounts. No sales tax on clothing purchases under $100. And it was deep discounts. Kmart did that in Salisbury. Now, people in Salisbury, guess where they're going to have to go? They're going to have to go to the Salisbury Center to look for deep discounts. And I love Boscov's. Don't get me wrong. I think they are a second source for me when it comes to looking for clothing. And particularly, I like going to the one in Dover, and I like going to the one in Christiana before I go back to New York. But in that area, Kmart was very convenient on Business Route 50. Very convenient. If you were coming from Ocean City, boom, you're there in a half hour. If you were coming from, let's say, Seaford, Delaware, you wanted to take advantage of the sales tax holiday in August. You go right down 13, take the ramp to 50, to Business Route 50, and there was Kmart. Now, there will be nothing there. You know what's so sad about this is that no one's going to go to Ollie's to get clothing. They always went to Kmart. So Kmart also announced 66 locations, including the one in Salisbury, Maryland, will be closing in April. And if I'm there in April, I may have to see if I can film some footage from there if I can, because I should be there. I told you guys I should be there in April, but looks like the radio bandstand is going to be put on hold. Then I wanted to update. But not to get off topic, it's just a sad reality, and this is my final point, is that online has taken over. And within 5 years from now, I'm going to say by 2023, online sales are going to be dominating by 80 or 90%, because we're just so lazy to walk into a retailer. And the real death reality is to Delmarva. And I'm going to make this final point. We all need to be thankful we have Boscov's down there. We all need to be thankful. And again, I'll put the Boscov's logo up right now. We all need to be thankful that we have an option down there. Because now that Sears is closing here in Long Island, particularly, what's going to happen if the Sears in Dover closes next in the Dover Mall? That Sears has been in the Dover Mall since the mall opened in 1983. That's one anchor store gone from the Dover Mall. What's going to happen if that happens? Telling you right now, and I'm really suggesting this if you're in Delmarva, you need to go to Boscov's if you're looking for deep discounts. Because if you don't, then the changing scale of retail is doomed. And we're all going to have to be slaves to figuring out what clothes fit and don't fit and shipping it back. And as I'm hitting the stop button, at least with Boscov's, the one thing I credit for them for is that they have a good return policy. And their customer service is very efficient. And so is Sears. Now we're not going to get that experience anymore. So it's a sad picture for retail. I'm sorry I had to make this video, but I wanted to give my passionate opinion. And I want to thank you all for watching. And as I hit the stop button, if you have any memories at all, any memories, this is for my New York fans and Delmarva fans, let me know in the description below. Let me know your memories of Toys R Us, one's in Long Island and the one in Dover I mentioned, and let me know if you have any other memories of the Kmart in Salisbury, because I really want to hear from people who are just going to be emotional that they can't look for clothing at a reasonable price anymore. And if you have anything else to say about Sears and Hicksville, I'll accept those comments too. So, thank you all for watching.